We just lost water pressure, and we found that on the washing machine. It said low water pressure, and yeah, it's not delivering water. Went out to the well house. We probably lost water pressure from the pump failing in the ground. So we are headed to Home Depot. It's about 8:15 at night, and it's Saturday, so they're open till about 10, I think, in the spring in our area. We're going to get looks like a 1 horsepower pump and try to throw that out in the ground out there, drag the old one up without losing it, and put a new one in. We checked the breakers. All the breakers were good. We're headed to town right now because we want water tonight, you know, like anybody would, to get looks like a 1 horsepower pump. Pull that up, strap it on. Yeah, let me change my words there. Put that on, however it goes on. Put it down in the ground and see if we can get water back. The pump is about 1997, so a lot of years old, and I've been worried about this a long time. It's funny that it happened tonight. You never suspect it, but boom, yeah, no water pressure. You check your breakers, and you're going to buy what you can get to get running. So here we go. Well, here we are at an orange place. And Dee Dee, she's on leash. It's a metaphorical leash, but she doesn't need a leash. Some people need a leash, but not the dog. Hey, get over here. Just talk good about it.
Come here, Dee Dee.
Somebody need to go potty. I need a 1 horsepower. 1 horsepower 2-wire. This does a 3-wire. Do you have this 3-wire?
There's a couple 3 wires up there.
There are. Can I bug you to get one of those down, please?
Yeah.
I hate to do it. I'd like to try to compare them. I might buy both. We're out of water tonight.
All right, what's your
Yeah.
You guys have a water heater too?
I have a well pump I think's gone bad. Yeah.
Water going to that.
That's fun. Trying to get my water heater done.
I've dealt with the water heater. Yeah.
I got this thing. Apparently I don't have enough.
Sure.
Oh,
Hey, no, you're good.
So,
I know, I can't actually pet you guys up.
don't bite them. Don't bite them, Dee Dee. Don't bite. It just doesn't make any sense to me why there's a 2 and 3-wire. I'm just gonna take them both.
that woman there? I'll have to go through them.
Take care. Really appreciate it. Franklin Electric model, blah, blah, blah. Horsepower 1, 230 volt. So I got two different 230 volt pumps. One is what's called the 2-wire, one's called the 3-wire. I have no idea which one this is. Oh, that would have been a...
You.
Well, let's just see. Stand back. Nope. Could have done that. Yeah, filter needs to be replaced, but that pump is not pump plated at all. Matter of fact, it was sparking. So how we're gonna do that, or I'm gonna do that, let's go voltage AC, and I'm gonna test the box. So these two poles, if I test pole to pole, it should be 240. It's 241.9. Oh, look at all that. Okay, this is the 3-pole, because it has, yeah, it has the stuff that makes it work is up out of the pump. So this is what we were watching on video. This pump might not be functioning because of this. That's a coil. This thing could be storing energy. I'm not gonna put my tongue on it. Yeah, capacitor. So be careful with capacitors. They can store energy. This could have voltage. Careful, don't touch any of that. No, it's not.
That's what
It's not frayed.
Oh, okay.
It just bent over. That wire is wholly in that little crimped connector that slides onto that part.
Okay.
So we should have continuity across the coil, and we don't. Oh, hit the sound button. Hello. Hello. Why are you not sounding? Are these loose? They get loose. There we go. Continuity. Okay, so does our coil even have continuity? It doesn't. Yikes. Built by Brandon. A guy named Brandon made this. Huh. Got continuity from what calls line 1 into this relay. I'm thinking it is. I would think that would have continuity up there, but it doesn't. You might just have a parts failure. One advantage of the 3-wire pump they were talking about online was parts fail up here. In a 2-wire pump, all this is down in the pump. And if any of this coil or relay fail, you're pulling up the whole pump.
So it comes separate in the box.
This will not be in the box.
Damn it.
What we bought was a pump.
Damn it.
So this is separate shit somewhere we gotta go find. I think with what I'm seeing. This coil is gone. I don't know about this little switch or relay. We have continuity through the pump on basically the two 110 legs. That's good. That means the pump is not shorted out. Or we have continuity between a hot leg and its ground. This pump might be fine in the ground. Okay. What's our resistance on these two? 10 ohms of resistance on the two hot circuits. Don't know that those are supposed to be connected. Let's go ground. That's really flopping around there. 2.7 ohms on ground and line 2 or motor leads. 13 ohms of resistance on ground to through
Motor.
start. Here, start. From the coil to here to here. So that just goes through here to start. that's quite a bit more resistance down here to that pump. Okay. Red. Start. Red, yellow. 1 horsepower. I think they're giving resistance in here in this little sticker. There, so we have a 1 horsepower pump that's in the ground. It said it on the cover of that we took off here. 230 volt main, black, yellow. Should be 2 to 3 ohms of resistance, I believe. So we'll just double check that. Show this meter. Okay, black to yellow. Black to yellow. 2.7 ohms of resistance. That fits within, yeah, it's saying motor only, ohms. Okay, so now, black to red, start, should be between 10 and 12.5 ohms. We have a little higher resistance on that circuit than we should. It's almost 13. And then running max amps, yellow and black, is about 10 amps. We're not running any amps through it right now. We're just doing resistance testing. For control boxes with model numbers that end with 910. $915. Control boxes with models that end with 910 or 915. 915. But all those numbers are the same. We end up with the same reading on this box, the 1 horsepower pump, and we have the 915. So I don't know. I don't see any difference there. Caution, resistance or drop cable must be added to above values when checking pump in well. Okay, so the reason we were seeing that higher resistance on what they're calling the start circuit is on the red and black, or red and yellow. These two. Oh no, that's within spec. Okay, so red, yellow, start. So I think that's both 110s feeding a coil down there, essentially a motor. 10.6. It says 10 to 12.5. I think our pump's fine. I think we sustained a failure up here. So we take this into the house. We do have some model information in here.
Can we call Brandon?
We're going to call Brandon, even though we might not remember who we are, and mumble like me on video, like we've all seen recently. Hey, this was made in the USA. Wow. That's why it probably lasted the 30 years that it did. Okay. So, too bad I tore the insulation out before I started testing all this. We're going to go look up some coils, and there's a part number on this little switch, and that's all just easily replaceable. We've got a Franklin Electric, so these might be Franklin Electric devices. Let's see what we get. Fortunately, it won't be tonight that we're running. And I'm thirsty all of a sudden. Isn't that weird how that works? All right, update from last night. I believe what I have is a capacitor failure on this pump system. And one of the symptoms I'm seeing is this cap is leaking right around this seal. And I'm not getting consistent results on attempting to test this thing, with ohms or resistance. One thing I saw was people changing the polarity, testing the poles. These poles are the same. Mind you, would not want to do that if this cap was charged. You want to make sure you discharge these. Ultimately, I would advise not doing this work on your own. This is really dangerous. These caps can store thousands or more volts. And if it's not the cap that's failed, they can zap you and kill you. So don't play with this stuff if you don't have any confidence or, the knowledge to do this. I did go today and I bought a whole box for $100 at the orange place that has a cap, a different model, different style relay, but it's in my case, a 1 horsepower motor relay cap assembly. It's for a different brand, but it should run exactly the same as this. It actually came with this whole metal panel. It didn't say Franklin. It has some other brand on it, but ultimately it has the same wiring configuration, and it should just plug on because these plug into the panel that's on the wall. So you don't have to, like, if you go get the whole $100, it was $100, the whole panel with the cap and the relay, you can just plug this onto your existing system. Make it simple on yourself. You don't have to take the cap out and try to put it in. So I'm going to be doing that. I have a capacitor itself coming from the jungle place, as I've heard it called. But for $100 to have this whole thing sitting there, functioning and running water, I don't care if this is bad. I don't care about basically paying $100 for the coil or the cap, the relay, and the middle plate. So that's kind of where we're at. We're going to head out. I've already got that stuff out there sitting in the well house. We're going to plug that on, hopefully throw the breaker, make sure all the lines we took apart last night, the plastic lines, are tight, because I replaced the sediment filter in that device. And hopefully I run in water again. If this doesn't work, I have a 1 horsepower 3-wire pump. I did diagnose it was a 3-wire pump. There are 2 wires, and basically the 2 wires won't have all this stuff up in the control box. That's down in the pump on those. It's one big downside of the 2-wire pumps. Your coil or capacitor and your relay, they are down inside that device. You're running 1 less wire essentially, but you have to pull the pump to replace any of these things that may have gone wrong. I'm a fan of the 3-wire already because of that point, especially if this works. And, well, let's go see what happens. I am going to attempt to have some redundancy here. So that new coil or cap that's coming, I'm going to plop that in here, test it out. I'll test the capacitor separately, and then, obviously plugging it in, I'll know that everything else is working. This will be a backup to the system that's in there. I've really been trying to work on sustainability, not being out of resources or without resources. I like comfort, like most people, but you have to work for it. And so, at worst, this cost me $100, and I'm going to buy all the spare parts. I'm going to keep the $600 3-wire well pump and just have that leaning up in the corner of the garage. I want this whole system ready to go. I'm going to probably buy some plumbing, clamps, and this and that, and maybe even like 3-wire. It's actually 4-wire to go down to the pump and have that sitting there ready. I guess I have to yank any of this out. At least that day, I can pull all this apart and be operating. I tell you, yesterday I've always joked and poked about, whatever, but running out that water pump not working, and the washing machine displaying that, exhibiting that, it stressed me out. So, all right, let's go to see if we can plug this new device in. This basically new plate with this relay and this cap in, and see if we get water. Goodness gracious, I hope so. All right, so we were just inside looking at the old, basically cap that sits on the front of that box. I have a new one here from the orange place. I double checked and triple checked that the cap, the capacitor, I call them caps, and the relay in here, it all wires up exactly the same. Even the documentation inside the lid here that we're just going to put on instead of the whole box is 1 for 1. This is a 1 horsepower unit, 230 volt. you know, worth checking. I want to remind you, I'm not advising anybody to do anything. This is just a video for entertainment. This stuff is dangerous. That capacitor in there itself, unplugged from this device, can kill you. And I'm not going to go any more into that. It's not my space. Call a professional. So we're going to get into this. Should be able to plug this cap, basically this plate right on the front, and this well should run at this point. So if it doesn't, I'm going to be throwing a little bit of a temper tantrum. You see that yellow dog anywhere out there?
She's right here.
All right. Good. She's finally starting to listen. Okay. So we looked at the system's previous capacitor and relay here. And again, I've double checked this. The relay and the capacitor are in a different configuration. This is exactly the same. The wiring down here is exactly the same. The pinout here is exactly the same. I should be able to push this on, flip the breaker, and the valve outside the pump house is actually still open. We should be getting water pressure immediately. I'll stay out of next concerns, but I feel my accumulator here is about to display its age and other stuff like that. We might have cracked some of this beyond cheap plastic PVC. So that's going to be the exciting part of this. When I plug this in, did just replacing the filter there last night create a basically a whole rebuild of this pump house, because that PVC is going into the concrete and then feeding the house and in front of the house and to the side of the well house here. I can't wait to find out. Almost don't even want to plug this in. Here we go. Whew. Okay, so I have basically the cover with the relay and the capacitor on there, and as long as it doesn't jump off the wall, boom, we got water. So it was that capacitor, and it should start doing that. I wasn't super confident about this. I did test the well motor itself, its different circuits last night with the meter. We saw that. It told me it should not be the pump. And I encourage you to learn to use a multimeter and resistance testing. They put it in the panel, even of this new box. This is a different brand. The same information is inside. Well, okay, it was on the inside panel, but nonetheless, you got to get a meter. You got to learn to use it. Volts, ohms, amperage, and most of us typically work with volts and ohms. You're testing voltage. You're testing resistance. We already got good pressure, and that's with that pump pissing out front. Will you shut that off, please? Thank you. And we should the pressure go up a little bit.
That'll leak.
Yeah, so
That looks like it's come off.
this is around the filter. I didn't really yank that down too hard. I had it in the vise, as we saw last night when I put this back together. If you look at this stuff, it'll leak. So I do have a little leak to fix. I'm gonna throw the breaker off, see if I can fix that. But pressure's looking good. I know this tank, and I'm full of side notes here, I think was low on air pressure at one point. When I replaced this T, because it was cracked here, it had frozen at some point. Because before I rebuilt this structure, it wasn't insulated. Good, the pump shut off like it should. Everything's functioning. That's huge too. The pump needs to shut off. But we've got about 50 PSI. This is the next thing probably to go, and the pump itself will go probably the next year or two. I am going to stack this pump up in the pump house. I'm going to get line, proper PEX, get rid of this white plastic PVC stuff. You get rough with it, you get mad, it'll break. I want to get all the upgraded PEX type line. You know, get a bunch more hose clamps, everything I need to upgrade this system when it actually does fail. And I guarantee it's going to fail on me soon. I got to fix this leak. but ultimately there's water running again. If you're in this situation and you're like me, you're just a guy trying to do it, it's going to stress you out. I've been stressed out ever since last night
We're not going over there.
when the washing machine reported no water. It was just beeping in the house, and fortunately I like a newer, you know, Maytag, made in America type washers and dryers, and it reported, you know, no water. We went over and it told us on the panel, and I knew instantly what it was. I thought it was the pump down in the well. I did want to talk about this capacitor and some signs I've seen on it that it failed. One, it smells electronic, like burnt electronic, and in here that little cap, little plug, it was leaking oil, and you can see all around the edges here it's leaking. You know, when a capacitor goes, those are some signs and symptoms. Got some, you know, moderate corrosion on the connectors. I didn't really see that till I got into that little box that I replaced. I've thought about this well pump a lot, but until this happened, it didn't hit me how unready I was for a failure out here. And I tell you, the day this went down, all of a sudden I felt like I got thirsty, like I wanted to take a shower, you know, and you can't. You're not going to do it. I don't have my food grade barrels filled with water. There's a couple of them sitting over there. I've had these for 10 years or more. I have 7 of them, and I'm going to fill those and make a rack for them, I think, where they're all sitting on their sides with taps, valves, so I at least get some water out to make sure she's not going thirsty. You know, take rag showers and things like that. Because there might be a point I break the white plastic PVC on the plumbing in the house, and I have to replumb it. I have to dig outside, patch in somehow, or God forbid even dig all the way from the pump house, back of the house, plumb in the back of the house. While I'm there, I may as well do the wiring. I've got an open neutral. I've mentioned this. You'll probably hear this a lot from me until I get the open neutral replaced between the well house and the house. All right, well, I think that's enough rambling for now. You know, a touch on some of the vision for this place and some sustainability or ability to be a little more independent. You know, the idea of getting there. So, all right, catch you soon. I received the new capacitor today. Still made in the U.S. I'm impressed. It says USA. I have to imagine it means made in the USA. But essentially, get them, Dee Dee. This will be an entire spare unit here. Should the orange place one go down, which has been running fine. It blew the breaker initially after starting it up, but after throwing the breaker back over, it's been good ever since. I think this went like that. That capacitor that was in there, this place was constructed and put together, and this manufactured home brought on in 1997. It's 2025, so 28 years that capacitor lasted. All right, so that's all buckled down. This is theoretically a functioning unit. See you in the next one.